Have you ever stopped to question the voice inside your head? That endless stream of thoughts, analyzing, predicting, remembering, feels like you. But is it really? If you are the one thinking, then who is listening? This is not a new question. Philosophers, sages, and scientists across centuries have grappled with this mystery. René Descartes famously declared, "Cogito ergo sum," I think, therefore I am. But does thinking truly define existence? Eastern traditions challenge this idea. In Buddhism, the concept of anatta, or non-self, suggests that the mind is not the true self, but rather a collection of impermanent thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. The Bhagavad Gita, one of the most revered spiritual texts, describes the self not as the mind, but as the silent witness behind it. The body is perishable, but he who dwells in the body is eternal, indestructible, and boundless. Neuroscience, too, is catching up. Studies in cognitive science suggest that our sense of self is not a singular entity, but an ongoing construction of the brain. Anil Seth, a leading researcher on consciousness, proposes that the self is an illusion created by predictive processing, a useful but not necessarily real representation of who we are. And yet, for most people, the voice in their head is an unchallenged ruler. It dictates actions, fuels anxieties, and shapes perceptions of reality. But what if that voice is not you? What if it is merely a program running in the background, a script written by past experiences, societal conditioning, and subconscious fears? Consider this. You are sitting in a quiet room, but inside your mind there is noise, replaying past conversations, worrying about the future, narrating even the most mundane aspects of your life. You say, "I am thinking." But who is the I that notices the thoughts? The very fact that you can observe your own thoughts suggests that there is something deeper, something beyond them. The ancient Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He recognized that thoughts are not reality. They are just fleeting impressions. Similarly, Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, warned against identifying too closely with the mind's chatter. Silence is a source of great strength. The true self, he implied, is found not in the noise, but in the stillness behind it. But how do we access this stillness? How do we free ourselves from the tyranny of our own minds? The answer begins with awareness. By noticing the voice rather than identifying with it, we take the first step toward inner freedom. In this journey, we will explore the layers of consciousness that keep us trapped in thought. We will uncover how to break free from the mental chatter, let go of emotional baggage, and see through the illusion of control. We will draw upon the wisdom of ancient traditions and the findings of modern psychology to discover what it truly means to be free. So, take a deep breath. Let go of everything else for a moment, because what you're about to discover could change the way you see yourself and reality forever. Understanding the inner voice. Have you ever noticed how the voice in your head never stops talking? It comments on everything. What you see, what you feel, what you should have said in a conversation 3 years ago. Sometimes it uplifts you, but more often it criticizes, doubts, and replays fears. But here's the real question. If you can hear this voice, doesn't that mean you are separate from it? This realization is profound. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. This concept has been explored by many great thinkers. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, "The mind is a friend to those who control it, but the enemy of those who let it control them." The Stoics echoed this sentiment centuries later, with Epictetus stating, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." But why is this voice there in the first place? The mind, like a well-meaning but overprotective guardian, constantly tries to predict, prepare, and protect. It analyzes past events to avoid mistakes and constructs imaginary futures to feel in control. Freud described this as the ego, the part of us that constantly negotiates between our desires and society's expectations. Jung went further. explaining that much of this inner dialogue is shaped by what he called the shadow self, the parts of our psyche we suppress or ignore. This inner voice is not inherently bad. It is a survival mechanism, but when left unchecked, it becomes a prison. The great Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh warned against being consumed by thoughts, saying, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." This is why meditation, mindfulness, and deep self-inquiry are so powerful. They allow us to step back and become the observer rather than the prisoner of our own minds. Imagine sitting in a theater, watching a movie. You are absorbed in the story, feeling the emotions of the characters, forgetting that you are merely a spectator. But then something snaps you out of it, a sudden noise, a thought, and you remember, you are not inside the movie. You are watching it. The same is true of your thoughts. You are not the story your mind tells. You are the awareness behind it. But how do you step out of the mental movie? The first step is to observe the voice instead of reacting to it. Right now, close your eyes for a moment. Listen to what your mind is saying. Is it planning what you'll do after this? Is it analyzing this very script? Is it doubting whether this practice will work? Whatever it says, just notice it. This is what spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle calls the watcher. He explains, the beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the thinker. The moment you start watching the thinker, a higher level of consciousness becomes activated. When you observe your thoughts without attaching to them, a space opens up, a gap between you and the voice. In this space, there is stillness, clarity, and freedom. This is where real awareness begins. But thoughts alone don't hold us back. Our emotions do too. Some thoughts come and go, but others leave scars, embedding themselves deep within us. So now let's take this awareness a step further and explore something even more powerful. How to let go of emotional baggage and free ourselves from the weight of the past. Letting go of emotional baggage. Have you ever felt like the past still weighs on you, even when you try to move forward? Perhaps an old regret resurfaces in quiet moments, or an unresolved anger lingers beneath the surface, waiting for the slightest trigger. The emotions we carry shape not only how we see the world, but also how we experience it. And yet most people never stop to ask, are these emotions truly mine, or am I simply holding on to them because I don't know how to let go? Emotions are not just fleeting sensations, they are stored energy. When something painful happens, an argument, a betrayal, a failure, the experience doesn't just disappear. It imprints itself onto our psyche, often without our awareness. The Buddha described this in his teachings on suffering. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. This means that much of our suffering isn't caused by external events, but by our attachment to them. But why do we hold on to pain, even when it hurts us? The answer lies in the mind's need for control. When we experience something difficult, the mind tries to rationalize and protect. It replays the event, analyzing what went wrong, trying to ensure it never happens again. This is why past wounds don't simply fade away. They are reinforced every time we think about them. Psychologists have identified this as rumination, the process of repeatedly thinking about past negative events. Studies show that people who ruminate excessively are more prone to anxiety and depression. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, understood this well when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The more we engage with our painful thoughts, the stronger they become. Jung had another perspective. He believed that emotions we refuse to face get pushed into what he called the shadow self, the unconscious part of our psyche. But what happens when we suppress something? It doesn't disappear. It festers, waiting for an opportunity to surface. The more we avoid emotional pain, the more power it gains over us. One of the biggest myths about emotions is that they are permanent, that if you've felt sadness for years, it must be a part of who you are. But nothing could be further from the truth. Neuroscientists have found that emotions, when left to themselves, last only 90 seconds in the body. After that, it is only our thoughts that keep them alive. This aligns with ancient wisdom. In Zen Buddhism, monks are taught to observe emotions as passing clouds in the sky. The sky does not fight the clouds, it allows them to come and go. Rumi, the Persian mystic poet, captured this idea beautifully. Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes around in another form. This means that emotions are meant to move, to flow, not to be trapped inside us. So how do we release what no longer serves us? The first step is awareness. Right now, close your eyes and think of an emotion you have been carrying for too long. Maybe it's regret, resentment, or grief. Notice where you feel it in your body. Is there tightness in your chest? A heaviness in your stomach? Most of us intellectualize our emotions, but the body always remembers. Now, instead of resisting the feeling, sit with it. Observe it as if you were watching a storm pass through. This is what psychologist Dr. David Hawkins calls surrender. Not as defeat, but as acceptance. The moment you stop fighting an emotion, you begin to free yourself from it. In mindfulness practice, a simple but powerful technique is labeling emotions. When a painful emotion arises, say, "This is sadness," or "This is fear." Studies in neuroscience show that labeling emotions reduces their intensity, creating distance between you and the feeling. Inhale deeply, drawing in awareness. As you exhale, say internally, "I release this." Repeat for a few minutes, allowing the tension to dissolve. This may seem simple, but remember, healing is not about force. It is about allowing. Imagine waking up tomorrow with no emotional weight pulling you down. No past regrets, no unresolved anger, just a deep sense of peace. This is not an impossible dream. It is the natural state of being when we stop clinging to what has already passed. But releasing emotions is just one part of the journey. What happens when we try to control life itself? What if the key to true freedom isn't just letting go of emotions, but letting go of control? The illusion of control. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you plan, life always finds a way to surprise you? You set goals, structure your days, try to predict outcomes, but things rarely unfold exactly as expected. And yet, despite this truth, we keep grasping for control, believing that if we just try harder, we can bend life to our will. But what if control itself is an illusion? From the moment we are born, we seek stability. The mind is wired to predict and control because, in ancient times, survival depended on it. Early humans who could anticipate dangers, storms, predators, conflicts, had a better chance of living. This survival instinct still exists today, but instead of tigers in the wild, we try to control our jobs, relationships, and even other people's opinions. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and the author of Man's Search for Meaning, made a profound observation. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. He saw firsthand that external circumstances are often beyond our control, but our response to them is always within our power. Lao Tzu, the ancient Taoist philosopher, expressed this wisdom centuries earlier in the Tao Te Ching. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. When I let go of what I have, I receive what I need. This idea, known as Wu Wei, teaches that life flows effortlessly when we stop resisting it. Ironically, the more we try to control life, the more anxiety we create. Think about the last time you desperately wanted something to happen a certain way. The stress, the overthinking, the frustration. Was it worth it? Psychologists have studied this extensively. Research on locus of control, a concept in psychology, shows that people with an internal locus of control, those who focus on their own actions and responses, experience more peace than those with an external locus of control, those who try to control everything outside of themselves. In other words, the more we try to control what's outside us, the more we suffer. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, captured this perfectly in Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Many people believe that if they could just plan everything perfectly, they could avoid pain, failure, or disappointment. But reality doesn't work that way. Life is complex, unpredictable, and far greater than any plan we create. Think about the biggest moments in your life. Were they all planned? Or did some of them come from unexpected turns? Alan Watts, a philosopher who popularized Eastern wisdom in the West, said, "The more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless." In other words, if we controlled everything, life itself would lose its spontaneity and depth. Imagine trying to hold on to water. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. This is the paradox of control. The more you try to hold on, the more you lose. So how do we let go of control without feeling lost? It's not about doing nothing. It's about acting from a place of trust instead of fear. Here are 3 powerful ways to start. Accept uncertainty. Instead of fearing the unknown, embrace it. Rumi beautifully said, "Try not to resist the waves. Instead, let the sea take you where you are meant to go." The unknown is not the enemy. It is where life's greatest experiences unfold. Focus on what you can control. The Stoics believed in focusing on our actions, choices, and mindset rather than external events. Next time you feel frustrated about something beyond your control, ask yourself, what is within my power right now? Shift your focus there. Practice surrender. This doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting the process of life. Next time you feel the urge to force an outcome, take a deep breath and say, "I surrender to what is." Notice how much lighter you feel when you stop fighting reality. Imagine waking up every morning without the exhausting need to control every outcome. Instead of forcing life, you flow with it. This is where true peace begins, not in control, but in trust. But there's one more thing that keeps us trapped: the walls we build around ourselves out of fear. And that's where we must go next, to the art of living openly. The art of living openly. Have you ever held back from saying what you truly feel out of fear? Fear of rejection, fear of looking foolish, or fear of being vulnerable? Most of us have. We build walls around ourselves thinking they will protect us. But what if those very walls are the reason we feel disconnected, lonely, and unfulfilled? The truth is, life is not meant to be lived behind barriers. To experience true freedom, we must learn the art of living openly, embracing vulnerability, presence, and authenticity. But why is this so difficult? From childhood, we are conditioned to protect ourselves. We learn that showing emotions is weak, that taking risks can lead to failure, and that being different can make us an outcast. So we put on masks. We hide our true feelings. We keep our dreams locked away. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, called this the persona, the mask we wear to fit into society. But behind this mask is our true self, the part of us that longs to express freely, to love fully, and to experience life without fear. Rumi, the Persian poet, captured this struggle when he wrote, "Your task is not to seek love, but to seek and find all the barriers you have built against it." But what are these barriers made of? Fear of vulnerability. We associate openness with weakness, yet the strongest people are those who allow themselves to be seen fully. Fear of judgment. We shape our actions based on how we think others will perceive us, often at the cost of our authenticity. Fear of uncertainty. We avoid stepping into the unknown because we crave control, even when that control limits our experiences. If living openly is the key to fulfillment, how do we unlearn the habits that keep us closed? Brené Brown, a leading researcher on vulnerability, found that people who live the most meaningful lives are those who are willing to be vulnerable. She states, "Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome." Start small. Express a feeling you would normally suppress. Admit when you don't have all the answers. Take risks in relationships and conversations. Alan Watts, the philosopher, taught that most of our suffering comes from resisting the present moment. We replay the past or worry about the future, missing the beauty of now. He said, Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. Practice mindfulness. Focus on what you see, hear, and feel right now. When talking to someone, truly listen instead of thinking about your response. Stop waiting for the right time to do what matters to you. Now is the only time you ever have. Instead of saying what you think people want to hear, say what is true. Express your real thoughts and emotions, even when it's uncomfortable. Notice how people respond. Often, honesty invites deeper connection, not rejection. Imagine waking up every day without fear of judgment, without needing to hide parts of yourself. Imagine stepping into life with a heart wide open, embracing whatever comes your way. When we let go of fear and live authentically, we experience deeper relationships, greater opportunities, and a profound sense of inner peace. But there's one final step to true freedom, the realization that freedom isn't just about how we live, it's about how we see ourselves. And that's where we go next, achieving true freedom. Achieving true freedom. Have you ever wondered what it truly means to be free? Most people believe freedom is about escaping responsibilities, avoiding suffering, or having unlimited choices. But real freedom is not about changing the outside world. It is about transforming how we experience it. Many of the greatest minds in history have searched for the meaning of true freedom. The Stoics taught that freedom comes from mastering the mind. The Buddhists taught that liberation comes from letting go of attachment. And modern psychology shows that the less we cling to control, the more peace we find. So, what does it actually mean to be free? Most people define freedom as external circumstances, more money, more power, fewer restrictions. But history has shown that people can have everything and still feel trapped, while others have had nothing and found peace. Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of a Nazi concentration camp, discovered something profound. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. This means that freedom is not about what happens to you, but about how you respond to it. You could be physically free but mentally enslaved by your fears, anxieties, and desires. Or you could have nothing, yet experience profound peace. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, warned, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Most of our suffering comes not from external events, but from how our mind reacts to them. The expectations we place on life, the attachments we hold on to, and the fears we refuse to release, these are the real chains that bind us. Alan Watts explained it best when he said, "Man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun." We become so entangled in our problems that we forget the simple truth. Nothing is permanent. Everything is in motion. The more we resist, the more we suffer. So how do we break free from these invisible chains? How do we move beyond illusion and step into real, lasting freedom? Instead of controlling everything outside of you, master your mind. Meditate, practice mindfulness, and observe your thoughts without identifying with them. When something triggers you, ask, "Is this reaction serving my highest self?" The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. We cling to things, people, beliefs, outcomes, thinking they will bring us happiness. But everything in life is impermanent. Next time you feel frustration, ask yourself, what am I clinging to? The moment you let go, you reclaim your peace. Instead of fighting against reality, embrace it. When things don't go as planned, instead of resisting, ask, what can I learn from this? Rumi said, try not to resist the waves. Instead, let the sea take you where you are meant to go. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, wind howling, rain pouring. Most people try to fight the storm, to push against it. But what if instead you stood still? What if you realized that no matter how wild the storm gets, there is always a place of stillness within you? This is true freedom, not the absence of chaos, but the ability to remain unshaken by it. And now we arrive at the final realization. Freedom was never something to find. It was always within you. Freedom begins within. Have you ever searched for something only to realize it was with you all along? This is the nature of true freedom. We chase after external success, control, and certainty, believing they will bring us peace. But the journey we've taken reveals a deeper truth. Freedom is not something you achieve. It is something you uncover. Think back to where we started. You once believed the voice in your head was you, but now you know. You are not the thoughts. You are the observer behind them. This shift in awareness is the first key to liberation. We then explored the weight of emotional baggage. The past does not define you unless you let it. Emotions are meant to flow, not be held onto. Marcus Aurelius, Rumi, and modern psychology all confirm the same lesson. When you let go, you are free. Then we shattered the illusion of control. You now understand that life cannot be forced. It must be flowed with. The Taoists call this Wu Wei, effortless action. The Stoics call it acceptance of what is. The truth is the same. Control is an illusion. Trust is the key. And then we arrived at the art of living openly. No more walls, no more hiding, no more fearing vulnerability. You now know that to truly live is to be open, to experience life as it comes, without resistance, without fear. Finally, we reach the highest realization. True freedom is not about changing life. It is about changing how you experience it. It is about embracing the storm, knowing that the stillness within you cannot be shaken. Now the question is, will you choose this freedom? This is not just an idea, it is a practice. Every moment you have a choice. Will you identify with your thoughts or will you observe them? Will you hold on to the past or will you release it? Will you fight life or will you trust its flow? Will you live with a closed heart or will you embrace the beauty of openness? This is not a destination. Freedom is a way of being. It is the path of the awakened, the realized, the ones who see beyond illusion. Take a deep breath. Let the words settle. Let the mind quiet. Just be here. This moment, this stillness, this awareness. This is the freedom you have been seeking. Carry it with you. Live it. And remember, you are free, not because of what happens around you, but because of what happens within you. Now go and live that freedom. It has always been yours.